Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Maverick News Channel. Oh, so much going on tonight. Canada has unveiled a new artificial intelligence strategy, giving rise to ongoing concerns about the proliferation of data centers. All this while Saab delivers new Gripen fighter jets to Brazil, a BRICS nation, while Canada takes a look at maybe going that route as well and purchasing these AI-supported fifth-generation fighter jets, integrating them into Canada's defense strategy and sovereignty strategy, which brings us to the issue of trade, which is still front and center tonight, and escalating rhetoric there. And, oh my goodness, what else? Oh, Bitcoin crashing. Price dipping below 60, I think it got below 62,000 US. It has recovered a little bit, but it is still under intense downward pressure. And we'll tell you all about that when we come back on the other side of this.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
First up tonight, Prime Minister Mark Carney and Artificial Intelligence Minister Evan Solomon have unveiled Canada's new national artificial intelligence strategy. At an event in Toronto, the Prime Minister declared today, "Artificial intelligence, the defining technology of our era, is here." The plan calls for building large-scale data centers, restricting controversial surveillance pricing, and dramatically expanding AI use across industry, government, and everyday life. This strategy targets 5 key sectors for faster adoption: health and life sciences, energy and natural resources, transportation, agriculture, and as well as manufacturing and robotics. This strategy is built around 6 main pillars, with the first focused on protecting Canadians and safeguarding democracy. It includes new online safety laws, updated privacy rules to combat deep fakes and AI-generated disinformation, and measures to protect children's data. The government also plans to spend $50 million expanding the Canadian AI Safety Institute to study emerging risks and strengthen cybersecurity. Clearly, Canada is concerned about U.S. influence here, the influence of U.S. tech giants specifically. Here's the Prime Minister.
Technologie numérique. C'est le secteur qui connaît la croissance la plus rapide au Canada. Au cours de la dernière décennie seulement, l'IA a contribué à hauteur de 140 milliards de dollars à l'économie canadienne. Now, as this technological revolution gathers pace, Canada has many of the attributes to help lead it. We're an energy superpower. We're committed to doubling our electricity grid, building on the lowest cost power in the G7 and the second lowest emission power in the broader OECD. We have the most educated population in the world, including experts with deep expertise in AI, robotics, and quantum. We're a pluralistic society that works. We're a stable, reliable partner in a world that is anything but. But first, we have to be honest about the risks that AI poses to Canadians and the challenges that Canada faces. Deep fakes, unsafe chatbots, AI-generated disinformation are becoming more prevalent. The privacy of Canadians is under threat. Globally, Canada ranks near the bottom of countries in AI training, in literacy and trust. Only 12% of Canadian businesses are using AI today. Among small and medium-sized businesses, adoption is even lower. And we are highly dependent on foreign suppliers for the infrastructure that powers AI, from compute to cloud to data storage. That creates real risks that foreign entities could access Canadian data, deploy AI products that shape Canadian lives without reflecting our values, and tilt the playing field against Canadian firms, while Canada lacks the leverage to push back or the ability to control. It also creates the risk that, as with other forms of integration, from financial payments to supply chains, AI could be weaponized against us. Pour faire en sorte que l'IA profite à chaque Canadien, nous avons besoin de nos...
That is absolutely a serious concern, because AI, unleashed, can be used to crack codes, get around security systems, breach even the security systems set up by banks, financial institutions, governments, get into all kinds of personal information for people.
We need a strategy that not only addresses these challenges, but also builds on ways in which Canadian businesses are using AI. I'll give some examples. In Halifax, Dr. Robert Chen and his team at Cardio Diagnostique are using AI to screen heart murmurs in infants, leading to lower unnecessary referrals and shorter wait times. In Saskatoon, the Canadian company Croptomistic is using AI to transform soil mapping so there's less fertilizer that's used. In Peterborough, AI-powered traffic lights are reducing congestion, 40% fewer vehicle delays, 20% fewer emissions. Prosperity and sovereignty in the age of AI belong to those nations that can build, adopt, and govern AI on their own terms. Nations that encourage the deployment of AI to make the lives of their citizens better. And to that end, with Minister Solomon and colleagues, we're pleased to launch Canada's new AI for All strategy. That's AI governed by Canadian values, AI that is accountable to Canadians, AI that serves all Canadians. Our strategy has three guiding principles. The first is trust. We will protect your data, your privacy, and your children. Second, opportunity. We will empower Canadian workers, Canadian businesses, Canadian students with the tools to expand their knowledge, their expertise, and their futures. And finally, sovereignty. We will reinforce Canadian sovereignty so Canadians can make their own choices on how AI is built, governed, and used. Dans le monde virtuel, comme dans le monde physique.
Okay. So this is a major announcement because, again, this is an issue that deals with not only the economy, but also national sovereignty, national security. And there are so many ethical questions surrounding it as well, including environmental questions, because these data centers are going to consume massive amounts of energy and water for cooling.
De cette stratégie, on trouve l'adoption. Pour que les Canadiens bénéficient de l'IA, chacun doit avoir la possibilité d'apprendre à l'utiliser. Et pour l'utiliser, l'IA, les Canadiens doivent pouvoir lui faire confiance. Avoir confiance que nos enfants seront protégés, que nos concitoyens seront respectés, que notre culture et nos langues seront non seulement préservées, mais renforcées, et que notre démocratie sera préservée elle-même. Canadians need to be able to develop the trust that AI will be governed in ways that reflect our values, to trust that they will share in its benefits. And for AI to benefit Canadians, it needs to create new opportunities for us and to be anchored in infrastructure that Canadians can control. Under our strategy, the government will introduce new legislation, regulations and standards to protect your data, your privacy, your children. We will modernize Canada's privacy laws and online safety legislation, ensuring that they are fit for an AI-driven world. We will expand Canada's AI Safety Institute with advanced research to evaluate AI models and to track emerging risks. We'll table consumer privacy legislation that ensures AI systems safeguard children's information from exploitation and harm, and we will make the development of cloud safety standards, child safety standards, a priority at next month's G7 summit in Evian. This month's G7 summit in Evian. We will also enshrine Canadians' fundamental right to privacy, including by creating protections against harmful practices such as deepfakes and surveillance pricing, so that technology doesn't outpace our ability to safeguard against technology ourselves. Second thing we will do, most exciting, and we see examples in this great research network, we will empower all Canadians with new opportunities to participate in and benefit from AI. So we're launching a national AI literacy initiative, offering training to all Canadians across the country in classrooms, workplaces, libraries, community centres. With free and trustworthy AI learning kits, including courses and modules, Canadians will better understand AI, be able to use it safely and confidently, and put it to work in their own lives. The approach will also help identify biases and misinformation and give Canadians the AI tools to learn and to help with their careers. As we adopt AI more broadly, there will be significant demands for Canadian workers who have the knowledge and the know-how to use this technology effectively. So a farmer who needs a manager with AI expertise to oversee exactly how much to plant, to water, to fertilize. The factory owner who needs an AI specialist to streamline machine data so the floor runs smoother and faster. To ensure that Canada is ready to meet that demand and to train up the next generation, we'll create over 90,000 AI-related job opportunities for young Canadians, including through the Student Work Placement Program, Canada's Summer Jobs, MyTax, and Skills for Success programs. We'll invest in training and upskilling for workers at every stage of their careers, from students to mid-career professionals to frontline workers. And we will ensure that every post-secondary student has access to trusted AI agents, whether they're in art schools or computer science labs, whether they're training to be electricians or carpenters, in order that our next generation has world-class, reliable tools on which to build and learn. We're going to use the Business Development Bank's LIFT program to help Canadian SMEs access financing to adopt AI tools in their operations. We're providing $500 million through the Regional AI Initiative to expand AI adoption, commercialization, and readiness across the country. and will expand affordable sovereign compute for Canadian small and medium-sized enterprises with an additional $700 million in the Compute Access Fund. So Canadian AI adoption will be prudent, pragmatic, and pro-worker. Il est essentiel que
So, on the jobs front, strategy projects 250,000 new AI-related jobs by 2031, including 90,000 positions and work placements aimed at young Canadians, but it does not provide estimates for potential job losses from AI adoption. Officials at a technical briefing declined to answer questions on that issue. On the Conservative side, Conservative Deputy Leader Louis Lansman called the plan ambitious but short on details, saying the safety and security that was promised is nowhere to be found in the plan, she said. She also questioned the job growth projections, noting that Canada has already lost more than 112,000 jobs since January.
We will follow a build, partner, buy framework. So first, we will build in Canada and direct procurements for sovereign capabilities towards Canadian firms first. Where we can't build, we'll partner with like-minded allies to attract investment and to integrate supply chains. And only after exhausting these options will we buy from abroad. So starting with focusing on building in Canada, let's observe that Canada is one of only 4 countries in the world with a large language model. That means, amongst other things, that the data that Canadians share through their businesses and public services can be processed and governed within Canada under Canadian laws and standards. It safeguards our digital sovereignty and our national security. And with this foundation, Canada will build a world-leading public AI supercomputer, giving researchers and businesses access to secure, high-performance compute power for their greatest innovations. We'll also create a Canadian Tech Growth Fund, a $500 million vehicle to take equity stakes in high-potential AI firms, helping Canadian companies to succeed globally while remaining proudly Canadian. We will expand sovereign compute and cloud infrastructure, reducing our reliance on foreign providers. Now, today, let's be clear, most of our data that's used in AI goes across our border or is governed by privacy regimes of other countries. And that's why, one of the reasons why we will back Canadian AI talent with nearly $350 million to expand our AI institutes in Montreal, here in Toronto, and Edmonton, to increase AI research, and to recruit the best talent from engineering and mathematics to health and agriculture. Now, as in the physical world, it's not just what we build, it's how we build. We'll build sustainably, linking new data center development with expanding clean energy and robust environmental standards. We'll build inclusively, in full partnership with Indigenous peoples. As I said, we'll support Indigenous-led AI research, leveraging programs from Canadian Heritage, the National Research Council, and industry partners like Mila. And we will build in solidarity with Canadian workers, unions, and post-secondary institutions. Where we can't build alone here in Canada, we'll partner with like-minded allies. In 1 year, Canada has secured 20 economic and security partnerships, 12 of which are in AI. One of those landmark initiatives is the Sovereign Technology Alliance, which will deepen our collaboration with trusted allies, starting with Germany, in order to share AI research, talent, investment, and infrastructure. We'll use our complementary strengths to build a dense web of partnerships from Europe, Asia, Australia, and the Middle East. Ce n'est qu'après avoir épuisé.
All right, we have reaction from the opposition parties, Conservatives, NDP. Here's NDP Member of Parliament Don Davies.
Good afternoon, everyone. The Liberals' AI strategy announced earlier today is reckless and inadequate. It leaves Canadians dangerously exposed. You know, it's entitled AI for All. It's more like all in for AI. We know that this technology can produce benefits for Canadians, but it needs effective regulation and strong guardrails. Look, we know that AI is driving mass surveillance, it's facilitating fraud, it's threatening jobs. It consumes huge amounts of water and energy, and it targets the most vulnerable members in our society, including children and seniors. And yet, the Liberals rushed through a superficial and quick consultation, and now they're mouthing the lines of tech billionaires. Their message to CEOs is they can drive ahead today on AI, but for Canadians, the protection for them, well, that can wait. So we're calling on the Liberals to scrap this inadequate policy, and the NDP is calling for a humans-first AI strategy, one that protects Canadian communities, Canadian jobs, Canadian small business, and Canadian natural resources. So thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
What do you make of the Prime Minister's argument that we need mass adoption of AI, that we need to embrace it in terms of job creation for the future? Like, I understand you think that this strategy doesn't have enough guardrails to protect people, but what do you make of the Prime Minister's argument that, like, basically AI is here and we have to find a way to kind of integrate it into the workforce, and those are in some ways the jobs of the future?
Well, you know, there's no question that AI is here. The question is, what is the most effective government response to this? You know, they introduced legislation in the last Parliament to address some of the privacy and serious concerns around AI, and that has been aborted and is waiting. And we still, in this announcement today, are seeing the government tell Canadians they have to wait for the very, very critical protections that they need. You know, I know young people are anxious about AI, small business is anxious about AI, communities are anxious about AI. The only people who seem to be truly excited about it are corporate CEOs. And that's because, speaking to the jobs element, they know that the mass adoption of AI is to replace human labor. And so, of course, CEOs are all in on it, but unions and people who are concerned about the impact this is going to have on jobs and workers across this country are very nervous. There's nothing in the strategy that will address that.
Do you think the strategy is relying solely on C-16 to regulate AI deepfakes, and do you think that's enough?
Well, it's not enough, absolutely. No, we need a comprehensive response by the government on AI, one that addresses all of the concerns that I mentioned. You know, the surveillance aspect, the privacy aspect, the impact on natural resources.
But I mean specifically AI deepfakes.
Well, you know, I don't think C-16 is enough on that, but it's a start.
About job losses, the strategy talks a lot about job creation, but not about the jobs that may potentially be threatened by AI. What do you make of that?
Well, again, I think that's he's mouthing what tech billionaires are saying. You know, they're telling us and telling societies that AI is going to create jobs when we all know that there are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of jobs that are at stake by the widespread adoption of AI. So I don't believe that mass adoption of AI will create jobs. I think it'll cost jobs. And until there's measures that are in place that will address that, I don't think the strategy is complete.
What kind of privacy and safety guardrails do you think need to be included in a strategy like this, or included as we go forward?
Well, I'll give you an example. What about the scenario where a grandmother is sitting at home and the phone rings and there's an AI-generated tape of her granddaughter's voice saying that she's in prison in Mexico and the grandmother needs to wire money immediately? That's a very real example that I'm hearing from people that probably is here now. Where's the protection there? Where's the protection for the grandmother? We saw in the Tumbler Ridge incident a failure of ChatGPT, a failure of companies to regulate clear warning signs that had happened on AI. Where is the protection for young people? I don't see it in the strategy today. These are the kind of concerns that are being voiced by real people across this country, and they're not seeing it from this government being addressed or in the strategy today.
I know BC Premier David Eby and other Western premiers have talked about, called on the government to legislate a mandatory reporting threshold to deal with threats that happen in relation to the Tumbler Ridge incident. Do you support that need for like a mandatory reporting, some kind of national threshold?
Yes, I do. I do. If there are dangerous threats that are being picked up by tech companies online, absolutely they should be reporting that to authorities right away. It's common sense. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have some streeters here now.
Prime Minister Mark Carney had some tense words for you during a caucus meeting. Is there any?
No. Well, here's the thing. First of all, I mean, caucus is, by definition, it's supposed to be confidential. So we like to keep it that way. I enjoy a very good relationship with Mr. Carney. I'm glad that we can disagree and still have a good working relationship.
So have you seen him yell at some people in a meeting?
I haven't seen it. No.
No, you've not seen it.
I have not. No.
So you would characterize it as a disagreement and not him being.
Well, I've certainly, like I say, it was basically what we had was a disagreement. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Sur des députés dans des réunions.
Non.
Non, ce que le Toronto Star rapporte.
Moi, je n'ai jamais eu connaissance.
Est-ce que vous sentez que vous avez la liberté de faire part de vos préoccupations sans nécessairement amener une solution à ça?
Toujours.
À M. Carney?
You've never seen the Prime Minister yell in a meeting?
No, never.
Comment expliquer alors que certains de vos collègues semblent ne pas avoir cette lecture-là? Il est exigeant,
c'est sûr qu'il est exigeant. Je pense que pour être premier ministre, il faut être exigeant. Mais autrement, j'ai jamais eu j'ai jamais eu connaissance de quoi que ce soit. Bonne journée.
What is it? I'm wondering if you've ever seen the Prime Minister yell at someone in a meeting.
No, never.
So what do you make of the Toronto Star reporting that he can be tough on people in caucus or in other contexts?
I don't know what's the source of their information. I didn't read the article. But it's not true.
You don't have any concern?
Well, sorry, it's not true in my experience. Appreciate that I'm not on the inner circle.
Did you read the story just to be clear?
I have not.
You've not, okay.
Yeah.
How would you describe his leadership style?
Confident. He has a good way with people. I would absolutely say that, and it's genuine. Like, he's a no bullshit kind of person. If he says it, he means it.
Tough?
Tough when appropriate,
Do you think
but not always tough. Not tough for the sake of being tough.
better than Alaska?
Well, the general public seems to think so, and the mood in caucus is better, but everybody loves a winner. I mean, we thought the other guy was all that in a bag of chips for about 3 years or more. So,
Are you worried that can happen here?
That can happen anywhere. I hope and expect that Mark Carney would have the appropriate level of self-judgment to know when his time's up, and quite frankly, history will be very kind to Justin Trudeau, but that he didn't have that last element, which was to know when to go. But the changes that he made in our country were transformational, and people will thank him for it. I have no doubt about that.
Do you feel a story like this one saying that he's raising the tone, that he's made comments that are barely inappropriate, that he's not letting people voice really their concerns, is it an alarm signal to the Liberal Party?
It's absolutely untrue. There is room and space for all voices in the caucus, and that has been demonstrated time and again under Carney's leadership. So that is absolutely not true. Yeah. Okay,
Thank you.
Take care.
Lever le ton dans des réunions, disons.
C'est quoi, là?
Non. Parce que le Toronto Star nous dit qu'il lève parfois le ton dans certaines réunions où tous les députés sont présents et ça rend plusieurs députés inconfortables.
Honnêtement, là,
jamais vu ça.
Je connais évidemment M. Carney de par différentes interactions qu'il a eues directement avec moi. Je ne connais pas toutes les interactions.
Comment décrivez-vous son style de...
In English, sorry, if I just get you to answer that in English.
No, all the interactions I've had with Prime Minister Carney have been very fruitful and positive.
Comment décririez-vous son style de leadership?
C'est un leadership qui qui m'inspire. Moi, je regarde d'où il vient, puis où il va, puis je suis économiste comme lui, on a à peu près le même âge, on a étudié presque en même temps. Il a une solide formation, une expérience considérable.
Mais est-il
il
dur?
a son leadership.
Est-il dur avec les députés?
Ou exigeant?
Exigeant.
Ben, je pense qu'il est à la hauteur.
I'll show you the headline. It's an opinion piece, an op-ed. He yells, Mark Carney's focus has Liberal MPs bristling. Well, Theodoraj. Perhaps we'll soon call it Mark Carney's Democratic deficit. The Prime Minister has a penchant for centralizing power. One explained a few times in this column, and now the edict to his Liberal MPs is that he does not want to be challenged.
Minister yell at anyone in a meeting?
I have never seen the Prime Minister act other than respectfully, and he is someone who is used to being in a boardroom, and I appreciate the back and forth with him. He's an incredibly smart guy.
Est-ce qu'il lève parfois le ton, M. Osfordeux?
Excusez-moi?
En français, est-ce qu'il lève un peu le ton parfois?
Quant à moi, le Premier ministre est quelqu'un qui est très intelligent, c'est quelqu'un qui agit comme il est dans une réunion de la conseil de direction d'une compagnie. Il est toujours poli et quant à moi, toujours très intelligent et j'aime l'échange avec lui. Merci.
I'm just curious if you've ever seen the Prime Minister yell at anyone in a meeting.
No, the Prime Minister's great. I don't think the reporting has been very accurate on that. I read the article from the Toronto Star, and I've never seen the Prime Minister act in the ways that were described. So I think it's an inaccurate description. He's a very good people person. He respects caucus. He regularly meets with us. And I think we have a lot of trust in our caucus. So it's unfortunate that was reported in that way. Thanks.
Let's just dig into it a little bit more here. The op-ed goes, over the course of several caucus meetings now, Grit MPs report Carney lashing out at certain members when he doesn't like the message they deliver. They include Nova Scotia MP Jamie Baptiste and Mi'kmaq from Cape Breton, raising concerns over negative perceptions of the government's changes to the Indian Act and receiving stunning rebuke. Winnipeg MP Doug Ailfson, the physician, being told not to come to the Prime Minister with his concerns over the lack of federal response to Alberta's two-tiered health care, Bill 11, and Laval MP Angelo Iacono, who wanted the Prime Minister to visit his riding and was met with Carney insisting he'd been to Laval recently, though he had not. The experiences have left a lasting imprint on several MPs. He yells, said one MP, who, like others, spoke on condition of anonymity to avoid retribution from the Prime Minister's office. He punches down a caucus all the time, they claim.
C'est des potins. Moi, j'apprécie son style de gestion. Puis sachez que j'ai été simple député aussi, avant d'être ministre. Donc, c'est des deux bords. J'apprécie son style de gestion.
Mais comment décrire ce style de gestion-là, M. Nowak?
Efficace.
Well, it's kind of this government's kind of been failing to make that a priority, even though Mark Carney said that he'd be the one that solved that problem.
I'll come back after.
Now, back to the AI issue. As I indicated, out in Manitoba, they have a proposed AI data center. And this is a major development tonight on that issue, with Manitoba Premier Rob Canoe saying this large-scale artificial intelligence data center, which is proposed for south of Winnipeg, he's saying now it will not go ahead. The project, pitched for more than 140 acres of farmland, was being developed by Las Vegas-based Jet.ai and Vancouver-based Consensus Core. It would have included natural gas turbines to power the hyperscale facility. Canoe made the announcement during a Thursday morning interview on Information Radio, where he told host Marcy Marcusa there has been significant public attention and concern about the proposal. He says, we're going to say no to this data center. And he was then asked about it in this scrum.
I reject the idea that we have to be slaves to surveillance capitalism in order to participate in the modern economy. I reject.
So the premier noted that Alberta already has smaller AI data centers. He says they will likely have more in the future, but he says that this hyperscale project, well, he describes it as a far different order of magnitude. He was in the fullness of that exchange with reporters. He was comparing the amount of power that just the government of Manitoba will use in a year to the amount to utilize AI in its endeavors to the amount of energy that a steel plant uses in a year. It's like that much fuel and energy. So this decision comes after strong local opposition, including a petition that gathered thousands of signatures from residents worried about the project's impact on farmland, energy use, water resources, the environment, all concerns that we've heard expressed through the course of tonight's broadcast from the various politicians, especially Mr. Davies from the NDP. Now, this announcement from Wab Kinew marks a shift from earlier comments that he has made. He had previously expressed interest in positioning Manitoba as a player in the AI economy. So he's backpedaling on this, and we'll continue to follow it with extreme interest because the whole thing is like a steamroller moving ahead at warp speed with caution being thrown to the wind. We brought you that interview from one of the main opponents to that huge Kevin O'Leary AI data center down in Utah, Salt Lake. And we see efforts underway to create a massive hyperscale AI data center, very similar to that up in Alberta as well. So all of that is moving forward, and it is an AI race. I would say even an AI arms race, because not only will it be used for government purposes, for economic purposes, to develop new medical treatments, it's also going to be used for military applications. Today, in Brazil, they took possession of their first order of Gripen fighter jets from Saab. Now, these Gripen fighter jets, Canada's eyeing the Gripen as an alternative to the F-35. Canada may go that route with Saab and produce those jets on Canadian soil. In fact, we just saw about a week ago the eye in the sky, the global eye system from Saab has been, Canada's made a commitment to acquiring that from Saab, and this would be a natural progression toward that. No firm decision on the Canadian side, but this is the presentation that took place today in Brazil, and these jets integrate AI into their strategy. It's a different kind of strategy than is used by the F-35, which is supposed to be state-of-the-art, but Gripen utilizes AI, mass and more jets in the air, combined with coordination with drone warfare. And again, this is how it looked down in Brazil today as the first logbook was presented to the Brazilian military. And the first jet.
times of conflict, old rules cease to apply. Your enemy will target your stationary bases first. To remain combat ready, you must disperse. To survive, you must adapt. Uncertainty will be your constant companion, but you have a choice: to let it obstruct your operations or turn it into your advantage. The next level of autonomy is not about replacing control, but redefining it. Commanding complexity with confidence, clarity, and precision. The two-seat Gripen was created in true collaboration for the new battle space, where military operations occur simultaneously across all domains. In the air, on the ground, at sea, and, not least, in the electronic battle space, where the ability to conduct advanced, multi-domain operations is more than an advantage. It is an absolute requirement.
Nowak 1046, last transmit.
By doubling the human presence, your strength multiplies by more than a factor of 2. It gives you the edge in the fog of war and lets you maintain superior situational awareness in heavily contested airspaces. It makes unpredictability your ally. Gripen F can produce fully operational pilot capacity at scale and at speed. Future pilots can train directly in a fully fledged operational fighter system, significantly reducing both training time and cost. What is cutting-edge multi-dimensional warfare today will be old-school battle tactics tomorrow. Gripen adapts. Gripen stays ahead. Bring on the future battle space.
Boa tarde. I am Lieutenant Colonel Abdon Vasconcelos, Brazilian Air Force test pilot.
Hi everyone, I'm Jakob Högberg, Chief Test Pilot at Saab.
Today we will present Gripen Fox from a pilot perspective, exploring how it prepares pilots for combat, how it shapes decision-making, and what it represents for the future of air combat.
During the operational implementation of Gripen in Brazil, Saab and Brazilian Air Force have worked side by side across many areas. Training was one of them. The pilot training program in Brazil has been a strong example of collaboration.
Working together from the start, sharing knowledge and building experience side by side has made a meaningful difference. Pilot training program in Brazil has truly been a strong example of what real collaboration looks like in practice. What made it stand out to me was the openness and willingness from everyone involved to share knowledge and support each other from day one. I've spoken to many colleagues who feel genuinely proud to have contributed to this journey. As pilots, we both know that trust and collaboration are essential, not just in the cockpit, but in everything we do. It's been inspiring to see how that mindset has shaped the entire program.
And the Brazilian Air Force needed a two-seat fighter that could support both training and operational conversion, while still being fully capable in real missions. Gripen Fox meets that need. It will allow pilots coming from lower performance aircraft, such as A-29, to transition directly into the F-39 environment. And this is a significant leap, not only in terms of speed, but also performance and complexity.
Exactly. And this highlights a challenge every Air Force faces: time. Becoming combat ready used to take years. Traditionally, pilots progress through several aircraft, from basic trainer to intermediate jets, and only then to the frontline fighter. That's a long and costly path, and each step adds complexity. The Gripen Fox changes that. Pilots can train on the same fighter they will use in combat. The cockpit's the same, systems are the same, and more importantly, the mindset is the same. There is no gap between training and operations. No relearning and no transition shock. In Gripen Fox, instructor sits right behind the student in the real operational environment before the transition to the single-seat aircraft. That's how real combat readiness is built.
So, in practical terms, the Gripen Fox will reduce significantly the time needed to prepare a combat-ready pilot. It will also improve safety and increase their overall quality of training. But this is not just a fighter, a trainer. It is a fighter capable to face any modern and future scenario.
When you're in a fighter, in a real scenario, under pressure, everything changes. Decision-making becomes faster, stakes are high, and the cognitive load increases dramatically. This is where Gripen Fox introduces something very powerful: a second crew in the cockpit. In high-threat airspace, missions quickly become complex, and pilots must manage multiple, simultaneous threats as workload and decision pressure increase. With two pilots sharing tasks, supported by advanced AI, they can maintain superior situational awareness, distribute the workload, and respond faster as situations evolve. Take a classic air combat scenario. Front seat focused on the air domain, tracking, engaging aerial threats, but at the same time, rear crew can focus on the surface domain, monitoring reconnaissance systems, analyzing data coming from the sensors, and building a deeper understanding of the tactical situation.
So, that combination allows the crew to operate at a higher level than a single pilot ever could. When you have two operators working together, each one focuses on a single and clear role. That improves clarity, reduces workload, and leads to even better decisions.
Exactly. You gain stronger situational awareness even in the most challenging environments, and you gain resilience. If systems are degraded, comms are disrupted, you still have human capacity inside the aircraft to adapt, prioritize, and stay in control of the mission. So in simple terms, Gripen Fox is not just a trainer, it's a fighter that expands what a crew can achieve in combat.
And the battlefield, it's evolving faster than ever. Technology is accelerating. Threats are becoming more complex, and the volume of information in combat is growing exponentially. In the age of AI, a natural question comes up. Why do we still need a second crew? Isn't the future unmanned?
Excellent question, Abdan. We don't want to remove humans entirely, but the real question is, how do we use the humans better? The future of air combat, it's about connecting manned and unmanned and AI-driven platforms. Focus is not on the individual platform, but how they operate together as a system. This is where Gripen Fox stands out. We could, for instance, coordinate precise multi-axis attacks with extremely low margin for error. We could also push unmanned assets into denied airspace to gather intelligence, or just direct swarms of UAS to overwhelm the enemy. By bringing the battle manager to the front line, Gripen Fox ensures that human decision-making remains at the center of the loop, augmented by AI. This is human-machine collaboration at its finest. So what does this mean?
It means faster training, faster readiness, and greater flexibility.
It means an aircraft designed not just for today, but for what comes next.
An aircraft that grows with your Air Force and your missions.
Because the future of air power is not just about technology.
It's about people working together, supported by that technology.
And that's exactly what Gripen Fox enables.
For Brazil, and for every Air Force preparing for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
As a training platform and as a double-capacity fighting system, the Gripen F was built with adaptability in mind. It was created to outmatch any technologies the future may have in store. So, let's celebrate what we have achieved together. Let's celebrate true collaboration.
Commander, it's a great honor to stand here today with you, together with true collaboration, true partnership, and most of all, true friendship. We, together, has created this, the first Gripen F. So it's a great, great, great honor to me to hand over the first logbook of the first Gripen F. Commander. Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
It's a honor for the Brazilian Air Force and for Brazil to receive the first Gripen F that join with the others 35 Gripen E and F at least. And as I mentioned, the Gripen F is more than 2 seats and 2 pilots aircraft. The Gripen F is the symbol of partnership between 2 countries, Brazil and Sweden. It's the symbol and close together 2 air forces and 2 cultures, Brazil and Sweden, to working toward for a shared future. Thanks so much for the logbook, for the aircraft, and for our cooperation between our countries. Thanks so much.
Commander, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Integrating humans with AI technology in a weapons system, what could go wrong?
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
All right. So we'll see where we go. Sovereignty. That's, I think, front and center with regard to all of this stuff involving the AI question, the ethics, the security. And of course, one of the useful applications of these data centers will be for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency mining. If you understand what I mean by that, there's only a certain amount of Bitcoin out there, and you mine for it using computer systems, very powerful computer systems to basically crack code in order to acquire Bitcoin, like new Bitcoin, without having to purchase it on the open market. Tonight, Bitcoin under severe stress. Let me just check to see where the price is right now. Bitcoin price in US funds, 63,000 and change. A little more than just change. That's $63,000 US for one Bitcoin. Keeping in mind that these things started at $1. 63,759.25. But it has lost a lot of ground today and yesterday, which is why I'm highlighting that you can see this graph over the last 5 days tumbling again from 73,000 down to 63,000 during that last big crash. Just how many weeks ago was that? Maybe 2 months ago. Huge crash. And losing about 50% of its value. And now some of those gains substantially wiped out. It did drop to about this level before. It is now, it gained back to about 72, 73,000. I'll just check the graph here to make sure that I'm accurate on that. So there's a month, there's 6 months. 63,000 right now. Yeah. Back in January, it was at 96,000. In months prior to that, it was up around 120. And you see here the big crash back in February, 64,000. 63,000 in February 4th. And March 29th, 66. And it did recover. It was up in the 80,000 range last month. It was regaining ground, back down again now to 63. Why is it happening? I guess some of the big players, big corporate players, investment funds, they've been moving Bitcoin around. BlackRock being one of the major players. And it's signaling to the market that there could be a big sell-off of Bitcoin to come, making some people feel that it is imminent. Here over on FXS, FX Street, they say Bitcoin drops below 64,000 as market demands dip to their lowest level of the current cycle, with selling pressure outweighing buying activity. Short-term holders recorded their largest capitulation event this year, transferring 53,800 BTC Bitcoin to exchange at a loss. It's worth highlighting this stuff because there is so much money now flying around, floating around in the cryptocurrency market that when it crashes, it can have a real negative impact on the broader economy, just as a stock market crash can. Now, this is the impact from these yo-yo moves up and down in the cryptocurrency markets are somewhat tempered or buffered by the fact that you have a lot of people who are just holding on, using it sort of as a speculative investment, holding, or hodlers as they call them. So when these losses are taken, a lot of people still just sit and wait for it to go back up. So the immediate impact is not felt in the broader economy. But these moves again, shaking confidence in the Bitcoin market. In fact, I saw one of my favorite economists to listen to, Peter Schiff, is predicting that Bitcoin could crash. He's making this prediction within the last 24 hours, so just yesterday. I saw him say that he thinks Bitcoin could drop as far all the way down to $20,000. Of course, nobody really knows. That certainly makes for a good headline. Here it is over here. Bitcoin price will fall to 20,000. Says Peter Schiff claims hodlers will quit soon. Schiff predicts a Bitcoin crash to 20,000. He says a price fall could trigger panic selling among long-term holders. Bitcoin's decline has coincided with Strategy's first Bitcoin sale in years. Schiff, one of Bitcoin's longest standing critics, has made another stark warning that its price could suffer a dramatic collapse to 20,000, arguing that investor complacency remains too high for the market to have reached a bottom. The comments come as Bitcoin trades below the psychologically important $70,000 level, as Schiff suggested that a deeper correction could be incoming. So part of the instability is coming from the very thing that gave it buoyancy about, well, just prior to the last presidential election, when you saw big investors, big whales, sharks, come into the market with big money, and they began to buy up cryptocurrencies, and specifically Bitcoin. And that signaled to the entire market confidence from the establishment, including from the government on the Trump side, who through his support behind Bitcoin heading into, the last leg of the election where he was reelected as president, and that gave upward momentum to the market as well. And it did really peak at, as I say, around 120,000. But since then, it has lost a substantial amount of its value and it's struggling to come back. So the long-term value of this new currency for this new world that we're in remains uncertain. And while Peter Schiff is predicting a crash to 20,000, it's important to note that he says it could. The truth is, nobody knows. Nobody knows. Very volatile. So if you invest in any of this stuff, be prepared to lose it all. And what I'm saying is don't invest more in it than you can afford to lose, because you could lose everything. Now, don't take your financial advice from me. I'm not a certified financial planner, nor am I advocating one way or the other for an investment in or for or against Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency. You do as you see fit. I suggest you consult with a professional before you make any major investments of that nature. So all that on the AI front tonight, which shows you how consequential this technology has become to our society today. It is transformational. Not just on the social side, but certainly on the economic side. And that's why we see tonight Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on the hot seat again for a second day in a row at the Ways and Means Committee hearing. He faced pretty tough questioning on a couple of key issues. First up, questioning on Trump's slush fund, the $1.8 billion slush fund. Democrat Sanchez holding his feet to the fire on this one. Let me see if I've got the clip. I had her queued up here. I'm not sure if this is the exchange that I was looking for, but we will run this clip. I'll tell you, he, depending on which media outlet you're looking at tonight, if it's on the Trump side, he creamed her, and if it's on the Democrat side, she creamed him. Either way, when I was watching this stuff earlier today, he looked very uncomfortable, very nervous in his seat.
I think it's pretty safe to say that this is probably the most corrupt Treasury Department in our nation's history. And while you dance around questions to protect Trump, Americans are suffering in Trump's spiraling economy. Inflation is now rising faster than average hourly wages. Gas prices are at an all-time high with the war in Iran. The cost of groceries has risen 3.2% over the past years, and prices on most goods have gone up because of Trump's tariffs. So I don't see how you could call that anything other than a failure of the most corrupt Treasury Department in history.
Your time has expired, Ms. Sanchez.
Thank you. My time has expired.
Secretary, I would love for you to respond to the accusations at your department, because I think you were due the opportunity for that.
The Congresswoman is slanderous. She has nothing but the unsubstantiated opinions, and I will not stand for that. There is nothing corrupt. We move at the highest levels, and just because she cannot get the answer she wants, if she would like to give me facts, she seems long on facts, short on facts, long on hot air, and I will not stand for that. Yeah, that's great.
Mr. Arrington is recognized.
Disgrace to make a remark like that.
Apparently, my colleagues had a sudden interest in the rule of law. I wonder if you asked her if she
thought illegal immigrants should be detained and deported or caught.
These things get pretty colorful, don't they? So yeah, Besant sitting there defending the Trump administration's fiscal policies. He sat there and highlighted strong tax receipts despite IRS efficiencies and cuts, and he pointed to upcoming benefits from the one big beautiful bill, including no taxes on tips or overtime, which I believe is just a temporary measure. It's not permanent, but in any event, he also projected wage gains for American families, but I'm not sure that the actual stats bear that out. He was pressed pretty hard by the Democrats today on Trump's IRS settlement involving audit protections and now paused anti-weaponization fund, that $1.776 billion legal defense fund, or if you look at the many media outlets, they refuse to call it that, so they're saying it's 1.8 billion. But that amount of money, obviously, a nod to 1776. So I think they're avoiding using that to make it seem like it's in some way patriotic. So Besant pointed to the upcoming benefits of this one big, beautiful bill, which is a bill so big and contains so much. I don't think the American public is even aware of what's actually in it. And certainly I don't know everything that's in there because it's virtually impossible to read that whole thing and absorb all that information. Besant pushed back firmly, though, as you saw in that exchange, that accusation of corruption, saying that those accusations are slanderous. The hearing underscored deep partisan divide over taxes, spending, economic impacts. As the Trump administration advances its 2027 priorities. Now, also, what really was highlighted for me during this whole exercise was Besant being held to account on the whole issue of whether America is at war with Iran. Yeah, remember I told you about this last night? I said the reason Trump is saying that there is a ceasefire when there is clearly no ceasefire is because if he acknowledges that the United States is at war, because the time limit on this has expired, he has to go to Congress to get an extension on funding and approval to continue the military actions in the Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. So it's a war of words at this point, and it's a game of semantics, a deadly game, because American lives have been lost, and a lot of Iranian lives have been lost in the course of all of this. So here's John Larson holding Besant's feet to the fire on all of this, confirming what I was telling you last night. It's a name game.
And thank you, Secretary, for joining us here today. It's always kind of unusual when you start a hearing and are instructed what you can say or can't say in an open and free democracy. But having said that, you mentioned in your testimony core inflation a couple of times. What's the difference between core inflation and inflation?
Many people believe, or it is in general, energy prices and food prices, which are much more fast-moving. And I would say that energy prices will roll down when this Iran conflict ends.
So is gasoline considered part of core inflation?
Yes, sir.
So what they're doing is, what they've done is they've stripped out when they're calculating the inflation rate, they've taken out some of the core drivers of inflationary pressures, or the things that have gone up the most in price because they've been affected in the most volatile way, taking those out of the equation to get a better, more favorable number for the government. That's essentially what it is, in very simple terms.
Energy prices and food prices, which are much more fast-moving. And I would say that energy prices will roll down when this Iran conflict ends.
So is gasoline considered part of core inflation?
Yes, sir.
It is. So those remarks, core inflation reflects gasoline prices.
Core inflation, it reflects the underlying trend in inflation and whether that inflation has become endemic to the system as it did during President Biden's
Has the war in Iran had anything to do with core inflation?
Sir?
Does the war in Iran have anything to do with core inflation? Or you can't answer that, or either, or are we precluded from asking that?
Well, I'm not sure what the question is.
Let me make it as simple as I can. Does the war in Iran, are you with me? Has the war in Iran
thus far
have witnessed See, and basically Besant lied there because when they calculate core inflation in order to make the numbers look better, no, they strip things like gasoline out of that price equation because it has gone up so much. It's been affected so much in the short term. So they take that out of the mix and don't treat that as part of the overall number. And yet it actually is part of core inflation because energy is an input into every economic activity one way or another, energy. Because you have to produce goods using energy, get them to market using energy. Even if you have a computer job, virtually everything that human beings engage in, one way or another, through economic activity involves energy to one degree or another. And yet he sat there just now and in passing basically lied about exactly that.
Rise in gas prices as it caused.
Well, again, that is the regular inflation, and gas prices have gone up, which I believe will be temporary.
Gas prices have gone up, but you believe they're temporary.
Core inflation has dropped 0.5% since President Trump came to office.
Geez, when I'm home in my district, I'm going to just tell those people, geez, you know what? You missed this whole thing. Don't you understand core inflation? You guys are better off. I mean, these gas prices, I don't know what you people are thinking out there. For God's sake, you should be doing cartwheels in the street over the price of gas. So what is the administration's plan to lower gas prices?
We've taken the many...
Are you in favor of eliminating the gas tax?
We have moved to...
Are you in favor of eliminating the gas tax?
We would like to work
Are you able to answer that, or is that not answer?
Well, if I'm not interrupted, I can, Congressman.
Well, I'm waiting for your answer.
We have asked Congress to move to eliminate the gas tax. That is done through statute.
You have moved that. So you're in favor of eliminating the gas tax?
We have asked for that.
So we can join bipartisanly today because you're in favor to eliminate the gas tax?
Again, the White House has asked for it, sir.
They have? Why isn't it before the committee for a vote?
I don't run the agenda.
Well, it's good to hear that we're in favor of something that we can work on bipartisanly that will help relieve people who need it the most. Forgive me, but people in my district aren't doing cartwheels over this economy. They haven't seen the impact that you claim that they're all receiving. People hear a lot of rhetoric, et cetera, but that doesn't pay their grocery bills. That doesn't pay their heating costs. That doesn't put fuel in their tanks. That doesn't help them get through the day-to-day grind of their lives. And so coming here and filling us with platitude and telling us how grateful we should be to the Trump administration for everything that it's done.
Well, Congressman,
is this war responsible for any of this?
Congressman, food at home is up 2.5% since President Trump took office.
Are we at war currently?
Which is twice.
Are we
It's
at
up
war
twice that
currently?
much every year under the Biden administration.
Are we at war currently?
The conflict has been halted.
The conflict has been halted. So we're not at war. So our military is not involved. We're not at war.
Again, if you would like for me to call the Secretary of War, I can ask. I'm the Secretary
So
of
as part of the
Treasury.
administration, and as part of this, we're not at war. How in God's name, if we can't answer any questions at all, and I don't know, maybe there were some special orders where we're not allowed to these questions or not. We ought to make that clear. Are we at war or not? I'm asking as relation to the cost of going up for oil and gas. That hasn't risen. Has it risen because of the war?
It did rise because of the conflict, yes, sir.
The conflict. So that's what we call it. Our people go into battle and lose their lives.
Mr. Larson, your time has expired.
$100,000 for first place.
No, we're at war. Well, the United States and Israel are at war. There is no ceasefire. It's a mind game, a word game. And you saw it playing out right there as Besant squirmed in his seat.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Oh, you want to do a Truth Social scroll? Let's see what El Presidente Trump is saying tonight. Let's do it. I should produce a little transitional opener thingy for when we do these, because it's like every night we have to go over here and touch base with the Prez. See what's up. Let's just find out what he's truthing all about. What's his latest truth? He's saying thank you to Lindsey Graham for something or other. Watch California, everybody. Our election process is as bad or worse than any third world country. Really? The biggest difference is they count their votes much faster. They don't wait 7 days to tell you who won. Rigging the election during each and every one of them. Americans are ashamed of what has happened. Well, why not? You're in charge now, man. I thought you were going to fix all that. Okay. Are you seeing all this okay on the screen? Yeah, we're scrolling. We're doing the Truth Social scroll. A big thank you to the National Capital Planning Commission, he posts here, on the 8-1 approval of the great triumphal arch to be built on the base of the Arlington Memorial Bridge. And on Wednesday, June 24th at 7 p.m., he's announcing that in magnificent Washington, D.C., now totally beautified, in one of the safest cities anywhere in the world, and in celebration of our country's 250-year history, we will be bringing you live the greatest rally ever. It will be special at every level, a rally to end all rallies, because all the musical talent bailed. They quit. They wouldn't come. He says, we don't want singers with no talent, but big fees to put you to sleep. We've told them all to stay home. I don't think it quite was working that way. I think at least a half a dozen of them said that they weren't going to come. And now he's flipping it around and saying that he's saying that they didn't want them to begin with. He goes on, all we want is you, me, a few speakers, and the greatest music ever played, the same music you've listened to for years. We will have the fabulous Lee Greenwood introducing me with what has turned out to be one of the greatest hits of all time, God Bless the USA, and the amazing Christopher Macchio, who will sing Nessun Dorma, Hallelujah, Ave Maria, God Bless America, and others. All the hits. Not since the legendary Luciano Pavarotti has there been such a voice. The rally will also be featuring the wonderful U.S. Army Band, Pershing's Own, and Armed Forces Choir, and the President's own United States Marine Band, with the Joint Armed Forces Chorus, all of your favorite hits. Plus, in all caps, a fine and highly dignified gentleman known as, you guessed it, President Donald J. Trump. Well, and then he says, we are sick of being told to accept every culture but our own. America first, America always. Oh. All right. Which brings me back to what we were talking about last night. The murder of Henry Nowak. Young man, teenager, stabbed to death. By a 23-year-old man. We showed you the police body cam footage. When police showed up, the man who killed Nowak lied to them, said that he had been assaulted. Now, what is not widely reported, but is out there, is the circumstances that led up to the stabbing. I guess Nowak had been out on the town and had been drinking a little bit, was over the legal limits, so did the responsible thing and was walking instead of driving, had a chance encounter with this Mr. Digwa, who got into a confrontation with him, and the young man, Nowak, began to live stream or record video with a phone. The assailant took the phone from him, and in this exchange, which turned violent, he was stabbed multiple times. And when police showed up, they believed the man that was lying to them and thought that the victim was the person who had been violent, and he was bleeding to death. They handcuffed him, didn't realize what was going on, and then we have these accusations of two-tier policing and on and on. So I know that for all of you who watched last night, you're familiar with the story. And there are serious questions and legitimate questions swirling around the police procedures, the police response, the guidelines on dealing with any kind of call involving a racial element. Because Mr. Digwa, of course, the son of Indian nationals. Of course, the problem, if it's a problem, but the challenge here is how do you deal with an incident like this? Well, I don't think that it's that complicated. I think that what had to happen did happen. The assailant was arrested, unfortunately. Mr. Nowak died. Court testimony indicated, evidence showed that he likely would not have survived even if the ambulance had arrived sooner, as I dug into even more information last night. Nevertheless, it became pretty clear that police could have responded faster, could have figured it out more quickly had they not, I think, made an assumption incorrectly that Nowak was the victim and not the perpetrator. So was their response prejudicial? In other words, to say they prejudged things? Perhaps. They are looking at all of this. That's part of the response. Mr. Digwa sentenced to a minimum of 21 years in prison, which in Canada, that equates to a life sentence for murder. Nevertheless, still, when the body cam footage released after the court case concluded and sentencing passed down on Monday, riots erupted in the streets. And then you heard from Nigel Farage, politician, yesterday, saying that people should respond with rage. And the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, shot back, took exception to that, disagrees with that, saying the family doesn't want that. The family doesn't want the release of the footage or the story, the verdict, or any of it to further divide the people of Britain or the world. And now, additional concerns being expressed about Elon Musk and the posts that Musk has been making with regard to this, because when you look at what goes on with Elon Musk and X, in reality, he is probably the most powerful media person in the world at the moment, and has stated very clearly, as have others from the Trump administration, that X is being used on a global scale to affect political outcomes in many countries, especially across Europe, where influence from X is being deployed through algorithms and, I would say, even social media teams. And even Musk himself, of course, chiming in on a variety of issues and sticking his nose into geopolitical politics on a global scale. Keir Starmer calling that out here tonight in this clip from the BBC. We may have money-making exercise, also known, AKA, as a commercial. Come back up here. Here we go.
We need to also assert who we are as a country, because Musk, again, has been interfering in our politics in the last few days, trying to whip up division. That is not who we are in Britain. In Britain, we are reasonable, tolerant people. When we have a terrible case like Henry's case, Henry Nowak, we react calmly, as his family have done. When it comes to disgusting images on Grok, we take Grok on and fight, because that's who we are as a country.
So that, of course, ties into everything we were talking about earlier, artificial intelligence, also social media. And whether we are exercising our free will when we go to the polls to vote, or are we being manipulated through social media in general? And I'd say it's a mixed bag, in my personal opinion. And there's no question that Musk is using X to influence people. He has been posting regarding all of this. I don't know if he's posting anything new regarding it tonight, but he's being accused of coordinating a campaign of foreign interference in British democracy, being called a rogue American tech billionaire who seems hell-bent on injecting poison directly into domestic politics. That coming from Liberal Democrat leader Sir Ed Davey, who has also criticized Elon Musk as a result of all of this. Let's just take a look over on X. Let's see what Musk has been posting, shall we? So, Elon Musk, Henry Nowak. Here we go. Let's do a little X scroll. Just check in on Elon. I believe we have it there, but let me just be sure. Yep, we got it. There we go. So Elon Musk tonight, this is actually from June 2nd, he said, send the video to everyone you know, showing how heinously Nowak was treated by the police in his dying moments and how the police cravenly kowtowed to his murderer. Legacy mainstream media, same ones who wrote about George Floyd millions of times, are dead silent about Nowak. 28 million views. Gee, I wonder why Elon gets so many more views than I do on X. Could it be because he owns it? And there's the clip that I just ran for you. The clip there again showing Henry Nowak being handcuffed while he was, with his last dying breath, trying to tell police he couldn't breathe and had been stabbed multiple times. And it goes on. You know, the thing is, though, for all the people out there who I know tonight are calling for mass deportations, my question is, where would you deport Mr. Digwood to? Like, what exactly would resolve this for people to keep them from going out into the streets in a rage? I just ask because I'm not sure that going out into the streets in a rage really accomplishes anything, nor do I understand how you can deport someone who was born in Britain, has, you know, citizenship, has lived there all his life. It's his parents that came to the country, emigrated from India, became citizens. He's born there. So where do you send him to? He doesn't have citizenship back in India. He's a product of Britain. Can you deport someone like that? Would you want, could you, should you? Or do you take responsibility? See, time goes on, countries change, eggs get blended, and things become more complicated. People are calling for justice. He was charged. Mr. Digwood was charged. The murderer, killer. Court case, minimum sentence, 21 years, so he's not getting out. Can't see an appeal having any teeth. Things are being reviewed. I don't know what else is can be done in a case like this. I just see real challenges there. This stuff has gone on, you know, like the roots of this are deep. They go all the way back, you know, to the 1800s, the 1700s, the Britain as a colonial power, influence and involvement with India, history of all of that. That's why you have integration and immigration over long periods of time into Britain. And I understand you've had more of it, and certainly in the last number of years as we have across the West. But I'm just saying these things are the result of actions taken in years past and years past that and years past that, and one thing leads to another thing, to another thing, to another thing. And you have someone who kills someone. Where do you wanted to deport that person? Like, I don't see in this particular case how a deportation is even an option for this person. And send your murderers to some other country. Well, Trump does it, sends people to the gulag in El Salvador, even if they didn't come from there. The issue persists. Give it time. Let it play out, I guess.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Okay. So, 3 months after the outbreak of these open hostilities, the war between the United States and its Israeli ally and Iran remain in a, well, shall we say, fragile and volatile state. It's not a ceasefire, even though this Pakistan brokered ceasefire took effect April 8th, but it's not a ceasefire because it's just been an ongoing repetition of violations. They just keep shooting each other, and they can call it a ceasefire if they want, but it's not a ceasefire if you're firing at each other. Hence the word fire in ceasefire. Nothing has ceased. It's maybe scaled back. In the latest flare-up this week, of course, U.S. Central Command reporting strikes on Iranian radar and drone strikes. Nowak and Qasem Island in the Strait of Hormuz, the Pentagon describing the action as a measured response to Iran shooting down a U.S. MQ-1 drone over international waters, at least according to the United States and some other countries. But if you look at the international law on this, I'm not so sure that it really holds up. So that's a matter of dispute. There have been other aggressive moves threatening shipping. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps quickly retaliated, firing missiles and drones at U.S. positions in the Gulf, including reported strikes on bases linked to Kuwait, as we showed you last night, and Bahrain, which we showed you last night. Some missiles were intercepted. Damage assessments are still ongoing. Diplomatic efforts continue, but all of these things face major hurdles. Trump saying he has, he said that negotiations are advancing toward a very good deal that would reopen the strait, this critical oil choke point. 20% of the world's oil supply flows. And of course, he's trying to address Iran's nuclear program. But Iranian officials insist there has been no tangible progress, always contradicting what the president has been saying, because it's not a ceasefire. It's a word game, a mind game, a game with Congress, so that he can just continue to do what he wants and sidestep congressional approval. And of course, Tehran links any final agreement to a wider regional ceasefire, including an end to Israeli operations in Lebanon. And Hezbollah has rejected the latest U.S. brokered Lebanon deal. So this further complicates talks, and there's no ceasefire. Now, back in Washington, the Republican-led House of Representatives delivered a sharp rebuke to the administration, passing this war powers resolution yesterday by a 215 to 208 vote. 4 Republicans joined Democrats in support. It was a largely symbolic measure, calling for an end to unauthorized U.S. military action against Iran unless Congress formally approves it. But of course, the president just keeps rolling merrily along, saying, oh, no, we have a ceasefire. There's no war. I don't need anybody's approval. And then we saw the exchange today involving Besant, where he's like asked about it, put on the hot seat with regard to it all. And he just delivers the Trump line. Oh, no, the conflict has been, what did he say, paused or whatever? No, there's no ceasefire. The conflict is ongoing, and the human and economic toll has been heavy. Iran suffering major losses to its military infrastructure, navy, air defenses, although they still seem to have something afloat over there in terms of some boats or ships, even though Trump has said that it was all sent to the bottom of the strait or the ocean, wherever those ships may have been in port. Also devastating to air defenses. And also we're seeing tonight new satellite imagery confirming that the U.S. has suffered greater losses in the Gulf than previously reported. So they've been hiding the level of damage to the U.S. military as a result of all this as well. And the death of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei and the naming of his son as successor have added to the turmoil inside Iran. So these U.S. costs now are ballooning, and they are estimated in the tens of billions of dollars at a minimum, with damage to American bases in the region, as I just mentioned, and disruptions to global oil markets, the disruption to the world economy. For now, both sides appear to be balancing military pressure with diplomacy. President Trump repeatedly has set deadlines and then paused, and then restarted, and then paused, planned escalations again, making all these fake threats, usually near the end of the week, and then tacoing out on Tuesdays, citing these ongoing talks that apparently are supposed to be going on, but I don't think that they really have been. Iran continues to vow a strong defense of its sovereignty. Through all of this, it's certainly far from over. While all that has been going on, we see today the formal opening of the St. Petersburg Economic Forum, Putin's Davos, as they say, is what it is. Formal opening statements today, and then all of these sessions taking place. It is the Russian equivalent of the World Economic Forum, just on that side of the globe. And there were some interesting, and I would say unexpected guests, at least Unexpected for me. I didn't expect to see Candace Owens there, but there she was. And what was she doing? Endorsing Tucker Carlson for a presidential run? Why did we, of course, absolutely see this coming? He has been positioning himself for that exact thing. And should it surprise us that this is coming, this trial balloon, I will call it a political trial balloon, being launched over on RT at the St. Petersburg Economic Forum today, I guess, or in conjunction with it, in tandem?
Let me ask you a very important question, because you may have heard this, you may not have heard this, but there's a buzz out there in America that you would make a great next president of the United States. I apologize for asking, but...
No, you're fine. I always tell my listeners I'd never run for president. I'd only run for dictator, because I'm not dealing with Congress. I'm not dealing with lobbying.
Right.
I'm not dealing with any of this. I'm not dealing with Lindsey Graham calling for another war. I'm just going to be like, here's what we're doing and here's what we're not doing. So I tell them, vote for me if the terms are acceptable, that I will be dictator of the United States, and that is it. But in the short run, I really don't have an interest in running for office, because there is just too much inauthenticity. Also, the great letdown of Trump. I would be interested in strongly getting behind someone like Tucker Carlson, though. I would. And so I would love for him to run, and I would create the dynamic that me and Charlie had and run all over to help him get elected, because he...
And Tucker was also very fond and friendly with Charlie Kirk.
He was.
Both of you
and to see him be one of the lone voices, I would also say Megyn Kelly, who told the truth about Charlie's shifting perspectives toward the end, just only further committed me to the... And he's also at a great place in his life. His children are older. I would gratefully get behind someone like Tucker Carlson.
Politics. We're going to hear, apparently, we've been hearing rumblings about this for years now. This talk about a possible tunnel under the Bering Strait between Chukotka and Alaska, between Russia and the USA. Apparently, tomorrow, the big announcement is coming. Yeah, they're going to announce an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, on this huge project, this tunnel to link the United States and Russia. Also, very interesting.
У нас будет новость, да, завтра мы подписываем соглашение о том, что мы продолжаем проектирование тоннеля, поэтому тоннель будет, проектирование тоннеля мы делаем, и это будет одним из больших инфраструктурных проектов между нашими странами.
Okay, so that was him saying there's going to be an MOU signed tomorrow, a memorandum of understanding to build a tunnel between Alaska and Russia. We'll see. Wouldn't that be a game changer in terms of geopolitics? Didn't really expect that. We'll see if it actually happens, though. A memorandum of understanding is not a guarantee that anything is actually going to happen. Back on the Ukraine war for a moment here. We're seeing more reports of Ukraine developing new missile drone technology. And tonight they have something called a pink missile, which is kind of in the same stream, if you will, as Patriot missiles. Ukraine just tested a pink missile that could shape Europe's future air shield. This is from United 24 Media. Ukraine's FP-7X missile has completed its first fully guided flight, a test that could become a key step toward building Freya, Europe's future interceptor designed to hunt ballistic missiles. So this is a missile system to take down, intercept incoming missiles, possibly even some of these high-speed, super high-speed missiles. Latest launch matters because the missile used in the test was not a standard FP7, but the FP7X variant. And this version is expected to form the basis of the future Freya interceptor missile, according to Tarek. The FP7X performed a fully controlled maneuvering flight during the test. And in the published footage, which I think we're going to be able to show you here in just a moment, the missile can be seen adjusting its course after launch, and it likely carried out additional test maneuvers beyond what was shown in the video. Let's let this roll. Going to take down the audio. Okay, I got to switch the tab to show you the actual flight. Zelensky just in the last week asking the United States to provide licensing to Ukraine so they can produce Patriot missiles in Ukraine, not just for use by Ukraine, but also by allied nations. And there's the pink missile, the FP7X. That conflict also not over. That's going to drag on too. So we got all that. What else have I got on the... What else do I have for you tonight? Oh, this open letter from Zelensky to Putin. Let me take a short break. Be right back.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Yes, Volodymyr Zelensky is sending an open letter off, publishing it. Let's go over here. We'll do a little social media scroll for Zelensky. Open letter to the President of the Russian Federation from the President of Ukraine. When you came to power in Russia more than 26 years ago, he says, many people in Ukraine viewed you positively. That is how it was, but that is now in the past. Now the overwhelming majority of Ukrainians view it positively that our long-range drones paid a visit to the opening of your forum in St. Petersburg, covering a distance of more than 1,000 kilometers. As you know very well, the distance is not the limit of our capabilities. There's more here. He says, whatever you may say about NATO geopolitics or the Russian language, the war is your personal choice, a war without a real cause. That is how history will remember it. Those years could have been very different. We often hear that you are comfortable with this war. Of course, not in those cases. When it comes to the security of your residence in Valdai or your parade in Moscow, your own life is valuable to you. But now we can all see that Russians are finally becoming less comfortable with this reality, with the fact that the war is bringing more and more negative consequences to Russia. They do not like our drones and missiles. They do not like gasoline shortages and constantly rising prices. They do not like constant restrictions. They do not like your intention to launch a second wave of mobilization in order to expand the war into another direction in Ukraine or to use it against other countries neighboring Russia. They do not like the fact that there is no end in sight to your war. Yes, you can still force Russians to exist this way, but your resources are shrinking significantly. You will not have enough money or political capital to keep buying the loyalty of Russians the way you have for the past 26 years. And we will do everything we can to ensure that the world helps bring that moment closer. As you yourself like to say, we need to run the numbers. Yesterday, I received a report on the losses of your army on the front in Ukraine during May. Once again, the number exceeded 30,000 Russian soldiers killed and seriously wounded. We have been maintaining that level month after month, and we have video confirmation of every one of your losses. These are not empty claims. We know that 63% of your battlefield losses are killed, while only 37% are wounded. In the 21st century, no army can afford such a ratio, and the share of those killed will continue to grow. It is not as if we in Ukraine are concerned about the fate of Russian soldiers after everything your war has brought to our country, but I do care about Ukrainians. We are losing our people, he says, and every loss is painful to us, even when the ratio of Ukrainian losses to Russian losses is 1-5 or 1-6. It still matters greatly. It also matters that you regularly postpone every few months your own deadlines for capturing our regions, especially in the Donetsk region, and you will not capture it this year either. But we in Ukraine do not want a permanent war. We know very well that life without war is infinitely better, and we want to achieve that. I'm convinced that the majority of Russians would respond positively to this as well, and you know it. Many did not believe that Ukraine would be able to hold out for so long. You did not believe it, and those who advised you did not believe it either. That was a mistake. You did not expect full-scale resistance from Ukraine, and you did not foresee that things would go this far. Yet here we all are, in the 5th year of this full-scale war. Do not be afraid to take the path out of this war. That is the main thing that is required of you now. Ukraine has preserved its independence, and it will preserve it, despite all predictions to the contrary. We've united many around the world to stand with Ukraine and against you. We found the weapons and the financing we needed. We received support. You received sanctions. And this will continue until there is justice for Ukraine, the justice we seek and the justice that can be achieved. We will not allow those who are trying to convince you that sanctions against Russia will be significantly eased and that support for Ukraine will be significantly reduced without any meaningful change in your position toward Ukraine to succeed. The example of Orban shows how those who choose to help Russia in its war against us end in disgrace. Ukraine has endured harsh winters, but you tried to destroy our energy system. We held firm, and even in darkness, the resilience of Ukrainians remained intact. We brought the war onto your territory, and you would not have been able to cope with it without North Korea's help. You are the first ruler of Russia to turn to Pyongyang for assistance, and today you are fully dependent on China, also for the first time in Russia's history. You believed Ukrainians would not have the strength to defend themselves, yet today our people are helping our partners in the Middle East and the Gulf build their own defenses. You hoped for internal unrest in Ukraine. Instead, it was your own military formations that staged a mutiny against you. June 23rd will mark another anniversary of that event, and silence will not erase this fact from history. And now it is you whom your own officials, businessmen, and propagandists look at with obvious fatigue. The world can see it. Oh my goodness, this is a long, long letter. We'll skip to the end. If you want to read the whole thing, it is on Volodymyr Zelensky's X account. He concludes here, if the Ukrainian president, no, that's somebody else. Okay, I think this is the last. Yeah, here it is. If you do not personally come to the conclusion that it is time to end this war, Ukraine will continue fighting for its existence. We will have those who support us. But you too will have to fight much harder for your own existence, not Russia's, but your own. And this is not a threat from me or from Ukraine. It is a fact of Russian history that you know well. When Russia grows tired, change comes. We can work toward that fatigue. You can stop your war. Eternal memory to all those whose lives were taken by this war. And of course, he signs off with glory to Ukraine. And that's the way it is tonight. June 4th, 2026. I will be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. On the flip side.
She's sitting in the driveway all dressed in black. Got that slick paint, you know she got the knack. Chrome glimmers in the moonlight, like a star on the rise. When I slide behind the wheel, I feel alive. Oh, I can't deny, got the little black vest, she's my midnight ride. Rolling down the highway with my girl by my side. Fast as a whisper, smooth as a dream. In my little black van, we're a rock and roll team. Leather seats and a rumble that shakes the ground. With the top down low, we're lost in the sound. That engine growls like a lion's roar. Every mile we take, I just want more. Black vest, she's my midnight ride. Rolling down the highway with my girl by my side. Fast as a whisper, smooth as a dream. In my little black van, we're a rock and roll team. Oh, the world slows down when we hit that street. The wind in our hair can't beat me. With the guitar laying under the stars so bright. In my little black van, everything feels right.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.